What's up, everybody? Geekopedia here. Welcome back for another video. First off, I just want to apologize for the lack of updates and videos over the course. I've been gone for like 2 months now. Um, it's just different things have been happening with me. I had COVID for a little bit about a month ago, and it was actually the second time I got COVID. Even though like I'm fully vaxxed and everything, I got exposed to it, so I was down for a little bit. Then just different stuff has been going on that I don't really want to get into, just more like personally. So once again, I'm really sorry about that, but happy Halloween, everybody, or happy early Halloween, I should say. And I figured, what better way to celebrate Halloween than to talk about Halloween? Not just the holiday, but the movie franchise, Halloween, as in Michael Myers. Um, I watched, as you can probably tell from the title of this video, I watched the new movie Halloween Ends, which came out in theaters and on Peacock for free. And I believe it's on Peacock for 40 days. I could be wrong. Don't don't take me seriously on that. I could be wrong on that one. But it is on Peacock right now. I watched it. Um I didn't really get much into the horror genre till later in life, to like late high school. And to be honest, out of like all the classical like horror villains like Frankenstein, Dracula, and even like Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Chucky, I've got to say Michael Myers has been my favorite out of all of them. I don't know why. I just loved Michael Myers. I think he's a really interesting character, a very brutal character. Um, how each different interpretation of Michael has been done in film and in like novel form. And I think they've done a few comics of Michael Myers as well. So yeah, Michael Myers has just been always my favorite of them. So I finally got to watch. I call it the sequel trilogy, but it's really like the Blumhouse series of films, which is Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills and now Halloween Ends. These films, they only acknowledge the original Halloween movie as canon to its timeline. So every other Halloween film other than the original Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends are canon. Everything else is just not canon. So it really simplifies the timeline, and as a result, it makes Michael and Laurie not siblings anymore. Which at first I didn't know what to think of that at first, but I really like how they did it in this new trilogy. I think, in my opinion, this new trilogy overall is about the definitive Michael Myers timeline. I feel like this could be counted as the main timeline. That's just my personal opinion, but I just really love how they done it. Halloween Kills, a very underrated movie. I love it. Halloween Kills is crazy. It is, oh man, oh my gosh, it's awesome. I might, before October ends, I might review the other two sequel films before October ends, just to like um max it out with the different Halloween films. So with that in mind, while I did love Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, I do not like Halloween Ends. It is, oh my gosh, it went, how how did it go so far downhill? The first two, like Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, they were so good. Like, in my opinion, they reinvigorated why Michael Myers is an evil son of a gun, because these films have been trying to portray Michael as like the physical embodiment of evil. And part of the reason why I like these new films is because they really justify that statement. They really ram it home that, yeah, Michael Myers is just evil. There is no like death cult leading him to do these crimes. There's no emotional connection he has with any of his victims, specifically Judith or Laurie. I'm sorry, specifically with Laurie. He's just a really sick dude, and that's probably my biggest positive for the trilogy overall, is how they betrayed Michael in that aspect. But Halloween Ends just, it went wrong. And I'm going to get into that, which, by the way, there will be spoilers. So if you've not seen Halloween Ends and you don't want to be spoiled as you're just clicking off this video now, but with that, I'll start with the positives first, because I don't want to be mean, because I want to be a film director someday, so I don't like to like judge other people's like films or art negatively. But here I will say there wasn't a lot of positives that I found here. The very few were very far between. Laurie was at her best in this film, actually. In Halloween 2018, we see Laurie as this kind of like paranoid, this this paranoid outclassed to society, who's kind of hidden herself away in this like fortress of traps, like physically and mentally training herself because she thinks that Michael's gonna come for her. And then the rest of that movie and into Halloween Kills is kind of like Laurie living out that nightmare she's had, that yeah, Michael's back. Uh and so here what we have is, because at the end of Halloween Ends, we learn that Michael, at least in this timeline, has never been after Laurie. He just wants to go home. He wants to go to his home, and Laurie just happens to be in the way, because Michael, he kills anybody that's in his way, that's in his path, and Laurie just happens to be in his path all the time. And so once Laurie kind of realizes that Michael could really care less about her, she kind of takes on a new light. She becomes a different person in this movie. We see her cooking. She's getting out more and socializing with the townsfolk of Haddonfield. It's just amazing. It's just really, it was just so satisfying to see Laurie in a more positive place after the horrific events that she went through in the original film, and just seeing her stricken with so much PTSD and trauma in these last couple films. It was just so satisfying to see her finally happy. And that's another thing for like all the other characters, like Laurie's granddaughter Allison. It was good to see her happy too, because she went through a lot in these films. Poor Allison. She went through hell and back with what Michael put her and her family through. So it was really good to see her happy too. It was just really satisfying to just see these characters just smile. It's like genuinely smile and not fake it or anything like that. It was just so good. While Michael doesn't get a lot of screen time in this movie, which I will get into more in a moment, when Michael actually is in the movie, he is really good. The guy who plays Michael Myers, forgive me, I can't remember his name. I knew it earlier. Was it James Courtney? Or it's something Courtney. And I'm sorry. I'll probably remember it later, but he's probably the best Michael Myers in any of these films, because he's got the movements down pat. You look at him and he feels like Michael Myers. Like, you look at this guy and you're just terrified of him. He's like, oh yeah, that's Michael Myers. And his performance, even though Michael literally says nothing, just in his movements and how he walks, how he kills people, it just screams Michael Myers, and it screams monster. So I just love the guy who's playing Michael here. And in the last two films as well, they kept that consistent. Let's see. Another positive, I would say, the cinematography was pretty good. Of course, David Gordon Green, he's a good director. He really knows how to build an atmosphere, which is something I've really loved about the last two. I was in suspense for all the previous two films, for Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. David Gordon Green, the director of these three films, really knows how to build an atmosphere. And sadly, that's where my positives end, because in this film, David Gordon Green, he doesn't really build a good atmosphere in this. Like, I was never really on the edge of my seat in this movie. Like, and Michael Myers didn't seem much of a threat as he was in the previous films. Even in the other sequels, I'm talking like Halloween 2, Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers, all those, he even felt like a legitimate threat there too. But here he just doesn't feel like anything. And I guess that might be because he had a lack of screen time, because this movie, this movie's kind of building up this new character called Corey Cunningham. And Corey, he is accused of murdering a child that he was babysitting. And they're kind of playing with the idea that while Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills took place on the same night, Halloween Ends takes place 4 years later. And while Michael has been missing for 4 years, Haddonfield is kind of still kind of crazy that they need to blame someone for the evil. And they're kind of pushing that on Corey because, oh, there's a dead kid in his arms. And even though it was an accident, because we do see it was an accident, but everybody's going to blame him because they're all so crazy with what Michael did to them twice now, in this continuity. So, the film, Corey is essentially the main character in this movie. Yeah, Laurie's in it, but she takes a backseat in this movie. This is Corey's movie, effectively. And I feel like that's what might have been a huge problem, but not only me, but for a lot of people, because Corey just wasn't well written. Maybe if Corey had been featured since Halloween 2018 and we build him up across this trilogy, maybe it would have been better. But since we had no idea who this Corey character is until now, and it doesn't help with the fact, like I said, he's not well written, it just comes off as half-baked, I guess, for lack of a better term. Corey barely goes through any development. He develops, but instead of going through significant changes through experiences, it's literally he just keeps doing 180s his personality. Because in the beginning, when he accidentally murders that kid, when he accidentally kills the child and he is accused of murdering him instead of accidental death, he is portrayed as more like this shy, meek kid who doesn't really know how to defend himself and wants the world to know, I'm not a monster, I didn't do it. And then literally about 10 minutes later, he's willingly killing people, all because he looked at Michael Myers. And I know they kind of play with the idea that Michael Myers, the evil that he evokes, is kind of contagious, but how this film has been trying to be more realistic in the Michael Myers lore, that doesn't really make sense. And how this movie explains it just doesn't make sense. Corey literally just does a 180 from going, oh, I didn't kill that kid, it was an accident, I swear, please don't hurt me, and next he's killing everybody. And so then here's another thing, Corey and Allison, Laurie's granddaughter, are an item in this, which doesn't really make sense because Corey, he goes from killing someone to then going to Allison's house, and while it's not shown, it's strongly implied that they have sex. So he's killing people, then having sex with this girl. Then he goes, kills more people, and has sex with this girl without her knowing, and with him seemingly having no remorse. So, like I said, Corey's development was just botched in this movie. It's all over the place. It just makes no sense. I did not like how they did Corey. I think, if I had to think of any way it could have been done better, I think it would have made a lot more sense if, like the previous two films, this was set on the same night as the previous two films in October 2018. Because the extended edition of Halloween Kills kind of ended off implying that. Because after Michael killed Laurie's daughter, Karen, and Laurie tried to call Karen, and Michael picked up her phone, Laurie said, I'm coming for you. Then she left the hospital with a knife in her hand. It was implying that the next film was gonna lead with Laurie leaving the hospital with her final confrontation with Michael Myers. So, I feel because David Gordon Green did say that he did intended for Kills and Ends to be shot back to back, but that didn't happen because of COVID. Because right when Kills was it was in the middle of filming Kills, COVID hit, so they couldn't really do anything. They couldn't really film them back to back like they wanted to, and since actors grow up and they couldn't realistically act like they were on the same night. When you have in Kills, Allison looks like a teenager, and then in Ends, even though they're supposed to take place on the same night, she looks like an adult. So it makes sense why they would do that, but it just feels like the plot of Ends was like a last minute thing that they, um, thanks to COVID changing their plans, they didn't have a backup plan and they just didn't know what to do with it. So I wish I could say it's good with. I'm happy with what they did. I'm just not. It was just a lackluster ending. And speaking of the final battle, this whole marketing has been. They've been marketing this movie as like the final battle between Laurie and Michael. It's underwhelming. Their final battle, when it finally happens, it just feels so unearned, you know? And I was expecting this brutal fight between these two, but it was very lackluster. Halloween 2018 is probably the best Laurie versus Michael fight. Um, they didn't fight in Halloween Kills, but that movie was mostly just following Michael around, killing people left and right, which we see the most brutal kills there. So, and here's another thing, like, Corey, he finds Michael in Halloween Ends. He finds Michael in the sewers, and Michael is getting the crap kicked out of him by Corey, because Michael, he's like beat up so bad, he's essentially crippled in this movie. And that don't make no sense, because in Halloween Kills, he walked out of a burning building, stabbed in the back by a pitchfork. His fingers were shot off. He was shot multiple times, stabbed multiple times, beaten by a mob, and he still got up and single-handedly slaughtered the entire mob perfectly. Yet now he's crippled. Now he's beaten and battered. That makes no sense. Like, in my opinion, that just don't make any sense to me. I'm sorry if I'm being a little too critical on this, but there was just a lot that just don't make sense to me about this movie. That I just wish that it could have been done better. So, Halloween Ends, while not a bad movie per se, if this were more like a standalone film, I could see it maybe doing better. If it were like a standalone film, but as the end of a trilogy, and for what it was being marketed as, it's not what you're looking for. It's definitely not what it was trying to be. It was trying to be the end of the Halloween franchise while also not being the end of the Halloween franchise, because it's clear they were setting up Corey to be the new Michael Myers in this movie. But like I said, the development is all over the place. It's just unbelievable how Corey goes from this shy kid who wants to prove his innocence to just willingly killing people, because he spends most of the first act pleading to everybody, I didn't do it, please, I'm innocent. And then, like 10 minutes later, he's like cackling like the Joker. Like, he straight up does that in the movie. He cackles like the Joker. It just makes no sense. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Halloween Ends. I didn't like this movie. Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills were amazing. Halloween Ends, not good. I didn't think it made any sense. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching this video. My next film review, I will be putting out the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 review. I've been wanting to talk about that one. It'll probably be shorter than most of my other reviews, because there's not really a lot I want to say about it. I just want to talk about it just because I'm a Sonic fan, and I really like what they're doing with the live-action Sonic movies. So that will be out. I think I've changed my mind about doing a review on Morbius, just because I don't want to do a lot of reviews on movies I don't like, because, like I said, I want to one day make films professionally, and I just feel like talking about, this might just be me, but I feel like sometimes talking negatively about other people's work isn't the right thing to do, at least not the right thing to do on YouTube. Here, when you can see my face and I'm talking, when you see me talking about these films. So, but I will say, I'll get straight up say here, I didn't like Morbius. I love the Venom movies, but I did not like Morbius. I was very disappointed in that film. So Halloween Ends and Morbius, not good movies. Um, so with that in mind, this has been Geekopedia. Remember, subscribe if you like what you see. Hit the notification bell if you want to keep up to date with all that I'm doing. Remember, God loves you and I love you too. And I'll see you guys next time.